Hey folks, welcome back to the Pulse. My name is Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat, and it is 9:30 Central Texas time. But it is also another time in the Philippines. Folks, this is a pleasure and a joy. Haven't been able to do this until now, and we are a day away from the end of the donation phase for OphirCrypto. And we're going to be able to share with you, I think, some insights into what's really going on the ground in the Philippines. And I'm super excited about that because we've got Pastor Roy with us. So he is the man. He's the guy who literally serves these churches and works with all of these churches. He is the head of GemEffect, and we're going to get a chance to talk with him as well as the founder of OphirCrypto, John Firestarter88. What a perfect name, Firestarter. We're starting fires. And then we're going to have Doc Vince as well join us. But folks, this is a real pleasure for me because this is a culmination of a year's worth of effort with John. You know, what's ironic about all of this is that a year ago tomorrow, we launched Texan Token. And I met John in just an amazing set of circumstances, and certainly divine appointments have put us in this position now where we're about to close out the donation phase. It's an amazing time in human history. You know, this is the first time political power and financial power have the opportunity to become separate. And of course, if you've been watching anything I've been doing with Steve Staggs and you know my heart for what is going on in crypto, is this to me is the potential for a renaissance. And what I mean by that is that regular people across the world are going to be on an even footing with globalists and people who are, you know, known as the elite. And what I think is incredible is I believe what God is doing in this world is literally providing us the opportunity to see the kingdom come. And what does that really mean? What is the kingdom? It's one that is properly ordered and aligned with the creation. And the creation is abundant. And that's something that I see that we have to take an active role in. And so I'm super excited about this stream. We've been preparing for a long time. And this is literally, you know, we're going to, you know, no holds barred. We're going to let the dogs out, as they say. But folks, let's bring in the founder of OphirCrypto. And let's say hi to you as well. John, Firestarter88. What's up? What's up, buddy?
What is up, brother?
Thanks, you and I are tight now, aren't we?
We've come a long way, man.
We have
come and we're just getting started, right?
That's right. That's right. I'm just super excited. You know, I just think about the last year you and I have known each other and how amazing what we've seen the Lord do in so many different ways, right? It's not just, oh, crypto, like literally in our families. Absolutely. You know, it's so many things that have been amazing. And to me, would you speak on this for just a second? When you find yourself aligning yourself with the very nature of creation, aligning yourself with purpose, aligning yourself with, you know, the Spirit of God, what do you see manifesting from that?
It's so funny that you asked that question because that's exactly what like I had in my mind too. Like I want to talk about that.
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think? What do you see?
You know, it's like I still find myself, pinching myself now, just having such a hard time. In some ways, having a hard time believing that this is real, but in others, have expecting it,
Yeah.
because it's just this is the kind of God that we serve, right? And so the way that things have really just have fallen into place. I mean, God's providence is just, all of this has been dripping with God's providence,
Right.
every step of the way. And it's like what you talk about quite a bit, right? Like not having to kick doors down and them just opening in front of you. And that's exactly what we've seen. Like
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Like we couldn't have made any of this happen. I couldn't have thought any of this up, right? Like I mean, our having met, my gosh, like how
Yeah.
crazy is that, right? And now you being, one of my closest friends, um, and just, yeah, you just can't conjure this stuff up, right?
No.
And
No.
so, and the thing is that, people only see glimpses of it, like through, through the streams and maybe through the pictures and, whatever, our socials and whatnot. But like you were saying, I mean, there's so much more
Yeah.
happening in the background of this. I mean, like I mean, just us, right? And our
Right.
families, and
Right.
and these churches and what they're experiencing. And that's why I was just, I mean, you guys got to come over and you guys got to meet these people
Yeah.
face to face at some point, because it's different, right? I mean, seeing like pictures or videos and stuff, but when you're in front of them and you see in their eyes just how grateful they are that, just that their voices are being heard,
Yeah.
right? Having worked in isolation and in the dark, and just, lacking resources and support, and then now people coming alongside them, and not just, I mean, and it's like people from around the world coming
Yeah.
along. I mean, they're so blown away just to be given the attention.
Right.
And so, I mean, add to that all that's coming their way. It's, yeah, it's just really been a joy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I believe that there are those, I don't know about you, but I see this in you as an advocate for others. And I see this as well in my own self, is that what good is this world if we accumulate so much, but we don't utilize those resources to really encourage and stimulate and support ultimately this realignment, which is really, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And to think that we play a role in that and that we partner with God and he literally is out front and leads the way. And to me, if you think about it, we know that this place is not the way it's supposed to be. And of course, you have seen that, especially through the pandemic, seeing a group of people be so marginalized. And it's not about, oh, poor me, right? Saying, oh, look at how terrible this is. I think what's incredible is what are the mechanisms? What are the strategies? What are the tools that God has given us that we can then leverage to serve? And, I see in decentralized finance such a powerful way in which we can unlock generosity, unlock abundance. And to me, Ophir and the whole story is so big, but let's hear from the horse's mouth, right? Let's bring in the folks who are on the ground. And this is an honor for me to have Pastor Roy in the house. What's up, Pastor Roy? Good to see you. You're on mute. There
What's
you
up?
go. What's
Good
up?
evening.
Good
Good morning.
evening.
Good evening. Yeah,
Yeah,
good evening. Yeah.
it's
So
great to
happy
see you.
good to see you this morning in your time there, and good evening here in the Philippines. So happy to have here in your program, and so thankful and amazing that we really appreciate what you have done, and through Brother John, and so excited. No, the Filipino pastors are so excited, the grassroots churches, about this project that you have planned ahead before, so that we can be benefited out of this, and many churches will be really reach out and be strengthened also to reach out
Absolutely.
also others, especially the community. So thankful for that.
You bet.
Thank you.
Well, we know that obviously the gospel itself is hope, right? We
Yeah,
know that the
yeah.
gospel is hope. But let me ask you this. Those that are in grassroots churches, those that are on the ground, what does it mean when John and Doc Vince and TJ come alongside and they want to advocate for the people in these grassroots churches? Does that provide, I mean, it seems like a tangible extension of the gospel of hope for the people of these churches.
Yes, very much. It's really a big great help for these churches, especially these grassroots churches who are now still continuing doing their ministries and their project, their program in the community, like for example the feeding program. And we're so excited that this thing would help us more to do more in order to reach out our community and to bring more progress, and many more souls will be won for the glory of God.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And to think that we can play a role in that. Doc Vince, amazing guy on the team. Welcome, Doc. It's good to see you, buddy.
It's good to see you. Good to see everyone here. Fire starter, Pastor Roy. Thanks, Matt, for inviting me here.
You bet.
We just had an interview with Pastor Henry a couple of minutes ago, and his story is so amazing. And we could talk about that later on because I was so inspired after that conversation. It's like, man, this is different. Oh,
That's fantastic. So folks know, so John Firestarter 88, he is the founder of OphirCrypto, and he's the person of peace, if you will, if you know what I mean. And Doc Vince, you are a physician, but also kind of a crypto OG. You're obviously from the Philippines, but you're living in Texas, which good for you. But one of the things I think is incredible is that Pastor Roy is the one who actually administrates and serves and leads this nonprofit organization where people from across crypto and across the world are giving directly to GemEffect. Pastor Roy, can you describe to us GemEffect and what it is and how does it function?
So GMEPIC is we're just a small organization before, and during the time of pandemic, that's the time that many churches would like to join with us. And before, we are limited, we are bound only in GMA, General Mariano Alvarez Cavite, one of the local municipality. But later on, because during the time of pandemic, there's no such a fellowship or doing this like we are doing before, that we continue to gather despite of the restrictions that had made by our government. Of course, we follow the protocols, some of the protocols, but we continue to pursue and doing also some help to our pastors, especially churches were closed. So most of the churches suffered, and especially the pastors, small churches, they can no longer really afford to have more foods in their home. So that is why I organize and I continue to do some help, including we encourage the big churches like evangelical churches who are also under our organizations, and the Nazarene Church. They help together to us to bring more ayuda. We call that ayuda, blessings to augment the needs of our churches. So this is what GMAPIC started during the time of pandemic, that we had been an instrument to really to reach out the needs of our pastors. And GMAPIC is really helping, especially the pastors who are also suffering during that time, medically speaking. Some pastors get sick during that time, so we really we don't hesitate to help them even financially. So we gathered some small help from other pastors also. Together we joined together to reach out and to help other pastors. So GMAPIC already existing before, and we have the program as a holistic program. We address the physical needs, not only the physical, the spiritual needs, the emotional needs of our pastors, because I'm really concerned about the pastors, because the pastors are the one leading the church. Once the pastor failed, when the pastors get weakened, the whole churches were affected. That is why I try to address all the aspect of the pastors in order to strengthen them and to remain faithful in their calling before God.
Wow. Pastor Roy, I'm so thankful that you do this work in supporting these pastors because it impacts so many people. But I want to speak to those that are watching this. To me, this is what crypto was intended for, right? What do I mean by that? People talk about utility all the time, and because it's a technology, it's come into the marketplace as, from a tech perspective. But in my opinion, what really matters when it comes to utility is how are the resources of crypto serving people, right? You want to have the greatest utility of all crypto serve the physical, spiritual, and emotional needs of the people that are challenged and suffering, and literally are those who are the catalyst to help others. Because a lot of people in the West see churches as just a building, almost like a country club, right? You go there, this is my seat. In the Philippines, this is different. And when you think about the church itself, there's no social safety net like there is potentially in the West. And these are people that, we're talking healthcare, we're talking food, we're not just the spiritual thing. So I think what a lot of people in the West don't understand is the very nature of the church is a community of people who serve one another in their time of need, whatever that need may be. And so I think it's incredible. John, I wanted to ask you this. What is, this obviously working with Pastor Roy and serving GemEffect has created so many more opportunities. And in my understanding is it's not easy because of what others have done before in crypto to really bring to the church something that is genuinely of service, because there's been a lot of scams and all those things. That's, Pastor Roy and his group, but it's also opened up many opportunities. Tell us about how difficult that was, but also how accepting they've been.
So that's one of the reasons why this is just so dripping with the Lord's providence, because Pastor Roy and I got to know each other. It was through what he was describing, those days of the pandemic. And that was when we first met. There was no Ophir, none of that. And, our hearts were knit together at that point. And he saw my heart and my concern for, and I got to meet many of the leaders and the church leaders in his circle, and got to see firsthand the conditions of many of these churches. So trust was established even before, and little did I know that Pastor Roy is like, this guy, the amount of trust and credibility that he has among like really key leaders in the evangelical world here across the nation, is it just really, like I said, it was just God's providence, right? So because that trust was established, then when the idea for Ophir came about, it was much smoother, right? Because even with that trust, there was still, Pastor Roy can talk about this, there were still, concerns. It still took folks a bit of time, because generally the churches are very, very, very wary of this stuff.
Sure.
Scams are rampant. There are even among like pastors, like there's lots of stories of pastors themselves, like what do you call this, concocting these scams or whatever, or and so yeah, it was it was very, very because of Pastor Roy's reputation, it was catapulted to things just spread much quicker, and trust was established very, very quick among a number of very influential people. And so the doors, like we were just talking about earlier on, right? The doors not having to be kicked open, they were just they just kind of swung open in many ways. And if you hear his story as well, about how he's been voted in as chairman, like I don't know, it's like 23 times or something, or, 23 times. But yeah, there was all sorts of like issues prior to his coming on board GemEffect, and now they don't want to let him go.
No, of course not. Well, let me also shift to Doc Vince. Doc Vince, you're a surgeon. You've obviously from the Philippines, and you've seen a lot of things. Can you kind of share from your perspective? I know you've done a lot of medical missions. You've done a lot of things in remote areas in the Philippines. help us understand from your perspective and a medical professional's perspective what it is like on the ground in remote areas and how the church does fit into serving the needs of people, because you've seen some things that not a lot of people have seen.
Yeah, yes, sir. But this one, I'm more of a visual person, and picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So I'm gonna share this
Yeah, I'll
photos
put it up. Yeah, go ahead.
and for our viewers to see, and because recent, other than serving the community, we go. For me, we do medical missions. Sometimes on remote areas wherein we would cross 7 rivers and
Wow.
just to reach we should we are using 4x4s, and the only way that these people would be able to reach is either by 4x4s or horses. Other than that, we did have a truck coming from Iraq. So that's the thing for us to reach these remote areas, and seldom do they get medical attention. So what I have here is another photo that, other than those remote areas that I was talking, this is an urban poor place wherein one of the pastors that I talked to this morning is Pastor Henry, who served in this area. I don't know if you heard about Smoky Mountain.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain is a place. It's called Smoky Mountain because it's a dumpster of all the garbage of Manila, Quezon, like main cities in Metro Manila are being dumped there, and at the same time it is forming like a mountain, and it's smoky because it's 24/7. It keeps on burning. It has smoke. It has stench. Now imagine us here in the Western world going to churches, like we have all the amenities.
Yeah.
And here we have grassroots pastors like Pastor Henry serving on that community, wherein it's a dumpster, 24/7 smoke. You have family working on those areas, and we have these grassroots pastors and workers spreading the news and
Wow.
having this kind of atmosphere wherein, despite of the stench, and like literally you are stepping on garbage. Those are garbage.
People live
Li-
there, man. People
People
live.
live there, Matt.
Wow.
Now, if you ask what would be the difference, I mean, it says a lot. Big difference. Because this one, like Pastor Henry said, he was about to ask himself, like, am I gonna quit or not on this kind of location, serving these people? And here comes a kid, because he was eating his lunch with rice and salt. That's the only thing. That doesn't have enough anymore in his pocket. But here's a kid offering him food on that area. So here we are in a Western world, living, living a decent life, but we have pastors serving these communities. And if we look at, that's the spiritual aspect. In a medical aspect, they don't even see doctors there because they don't have any insurance. They go to government hospitals wherein they would what wait for more than 24 hours to be attended by the doctor. So having this project supporting this kind of ministry, it does mean a lot. And I remember you and John kept on sharing about the 5 loaves
Hmm.
and the 2 fishes. And I told Pastor Henry, hey, Pastor, isn't this like the 5 loaves when this kid
Yeah.
approached you with food? But now this is on a bigger scale wherein we are like kids offering this to our pastors who are almost given up. And Pastor Roy really hit the nail on the head when he said some of the pastors really need help. And this becomes like a support group for them. knowing that they are not alone. Remember, John, Pastor Henry said, "Oh, I'm not alone in this world because we have several pastors experiencing this, but we have people out of out there who are here to help us out."
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Oh,
Matt, there were numerous conversations that I've had, but I can't recount the number of times that pastors told me that they were thinking of quitting at certain points.
Yep.
You know, that's how difficult it's been.
Wow. Well, and one thing I want to just emphasize to those that are watching this, you know, what are we doing here? Right. And I think about your own existence, right? What are we doing here? We recognize that it is not right that there are those who literally live on garbage heaps. But think about this, in the midst of this scarcity and in the midst of these challenges, there are people like these pastors who, by faith in the Lord, literally would sacrifice their own lives to serve those who are struggling. Why? You think about it, what drives that? You know, and people don't set out, you know, to, hey, I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to commit myself to those who are literally the least of these. But here's the thing that I think is amazing. We know that this is not right. We know that this is not the picture that God had intended of the kingdom of God. We know that it is not that. And we know that there are those within this world. And you think, you know, if you were to drill down and say, what is the source of this scarcity? What is the source? It's a model in which people have gone their own way. And people have accumulated and people have literally lorded over others. And here's the thing that I think is so amazing about decentralized finance and crypto is that if we don't take a stand, if we don't do something based on the skills, the abilities, the influence that we have, Doc Vince is a doctor, Pastor Roy is a leader, Firestarter 88 is one who is literally lighting the fire. If we don't have people that are using the skills and abilities, and this is with, you know, empowered by the Spirit of God to serve, here's the thing. When Jesus taught us to pray, he said, our Father who art in heaven, holy be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The efforts that we're doing, we have to take the action that was prepared in advance for us to do to help that kingdom come. And what is that? I believe truly the decentralized finance and the money that is related to this, the resourcing of God, that literally is the gold in the hearts of people. That's what Ophir is all about. This is the time when God is unlocking that value and opportunity. And John, I wanted to ask you this. What kind of impact would it have if, and this is my prayer, this is my ultimate prayer, is that the people of the Philippines and OphirCrypto have the same experience in the next bull run as the Hexicans.
Oh my gosh.
A 10,000x, $100 turns into $1 million. And here's the thing, folks, this is not a handout. This is not a handout. You cannot participate in this unless you put in your own labor. And people put in their own. And so here are folks like Pastor Roy and John and Doc Vince and TJ, people that are out there saying, I want to give you a mechanism that potentially can help set you free in the name of the Lord, that we're doing this in obedience to him, that we can unlock this value. And I'm going to tell you, I'm happy that there are people who are like, when Lambo, great. But to me, this project, if it has the same kind of outcome as, let's say, a 10,000x, it doesn't even have to be that. It's so transformative, and it proves that tokenizing communities and removing the power that's wielded by centralized money, we can literally free the captives. And that is the mission, in my opinion, that we've been given by the Lord himself through this power of the gospel. And it's not so that you would be rich. It would be so that his kingdom would come and his name would be known, period. And we are acting in that way. And I just ask that people would come in alignment with us as we serve the greatest utility that exists on planet Earth.
Yeah. Amen to that. And to answer your question, my gosh, this has the potential to change, you know, cities to, I mean, like, you know how populated, how many people are there in GMA, Pastor Roy? Like, because we were laughing when we were at the at the Gen Con conference, and
You're on
someone
mute,
was talking
Pastor
about,
Roy. You're on mute.
Before we are voters are reach to 100,000. So gym is overpopulated because this is a relocation area. So what the Dr. Vince had shown was most of those people who are situated in Smoky Mountain and Tondo were brought there in GMA, and that is why we started in GMA during that time. So, this the people are so very poor during that time. They don't have a job in GMA because there's no such company there to enter into any job, and that is why most of the people who are brought there in as relocated, then they go back again to Tundo, or they go back again to Smoky Mountain because they don't have such earning in this place in GMA. So this is the reason that GMA become overpopulated because of the relocations site.
yeah. So it's obviously for individuals. I mean, can you imagine? I was talking to uh, one of the pastors, Pastora Paz, yesterday. Um, on stream, we had some of the beneficiary churches and pastors. Yeah, you need to
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead. Keep sharing. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I was she was talking about uh, how she had to get a job at one point, and uh, Pastor Roy, I'm sure, yeah, you were there. I think you heard this, right? And maybe you know the story already. That she was earning 150 pesos a week,
Yes,
which is $3 a week.
dollars. Yeah.
Like, right, when you think about that, and these are, I mean, this is the kind of these are the kinds of conditions that many of these pastors, many of these people in the communities are, are experiencing. So can you imagine just how far a dollar will go here in the Philippines? In fact, and especially among these people. I mean, it will not just change, a person's life. It will change their families, their communities, even, and especially for the pastors. Pastor Roy, this is something that really excites me as well, right? That they would be able to do the Lord's work without having that constant burden of like thinking through how they're going to make ends meet, right? And that that the church would be a light, and that we would be able to use this, of course, as a way of helping the world and lifting up Christ's name, right? I mean, I think that that's also very, very that's extremely
Ac-
extremely
uh,
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sige lang po.
Actually, when I started the ministry in 1998 here in GMA, I'm receiving 50 pesos a week,
Oh my gosh,
equivalent to
that's
$1.
$1.
Yes.
That's $1,
One
man.
Yeah,
dollar a week.
it
One
cannot
dollar.
survive. I have a family, I have my wife, but my wife during that time has a job, and she's the one who's paying the bills and our rental in the house. She supported me during that time in my ministry. When I was transferred here, our mother church did not support me during that time. I think only once that they sent me 300 pesos, and then no more. And we just no live by faith during that time. And my wife is a very really big help to me. Behind the success of a man, really is a woman. And my wife really did not hesitate because of the calling that is she saw in me. So she supported me in this ministry until today.
Wow. You know what? I also see in this, Pastor Roy and Doc Vince and John, there's a calling for all of us, right? There's a purpose, there's a plan, and you're seeing this played out here. God has called me to unlock global generosity by giving. He has provided this advocacy for the people of the Philippines who are struggling in John. You see Doc Vince using his skills and his abilities and his education and his capabilities as a doctor to serve. We see Pastor Roy, who's been called out by the Lord and given him a faithful woman who provides to be able to support him. Every one of us, before the beginning of time, was created for purpose. And so one of the things I just want to say, and John, I'd love your feedback on this one. I'm a bit frustrated, to be honest with you. You know, in crypto, we see a lot of degenerate behavior and a lot of people that are fighting because of, you know, the market conditions. But also I recognize that there are incredibly generous people out there. And for example, there's a new decentralized exchange called 9inch.io. And I believe that in this bear market has raised $11 million for a DEX that's based on an eggplant. And I love those guys. I love Hexy Bastard, love all those guys. But here's the thing. I literally was praying before this, and someone who is in our community, and it's not just a whale, but I believe that this is the kind of project that when you give to GemEffect, you're giving directly to them. And this is an opportunity for Pastor Roy, not to pay Pastor Roy, not for John and not for Doc Vince, but literally probably the most direct way that you can serve people on the ground. And I was thinking of this, John. I was like, what would it look like that before tomorrow night at midnight, someone who hears this message literally says, I want to play a part and I want to put $1 million of USDC into your account. That's the vision that I have. Why? Because I've seen it happen before. I see it happening every day. But I look at this and I say, what is this really? What's the impact of this? It's not just giving money to people who are struggling. No. The fundamentals of DeFi is giving people the ability to fish. It's taking power out of the hands of centralized people and putting it into the hands of everyday folks who are going to be, you know, staked for 22 years. And what it does is when they see that kind of giving, what happens is it unlocks all of those around them that says, you know what, this is a vehicle or a mechanism or a strategy in which we could see a future that's different, because everything is different right now in DeFi. This is the time. And I believe that the Lord is using the blockchain and using decentralized finance to set people who are imprisoned free. It's through debt slavery, consumer slavery. It's in poverty. It is literally it's a catalyst for absolute fundamental change. And we have to step out and believe this. There's so many in our community that recognize this, but what you're doing is you're encouraging all of these guys. You're basically saying to them, listen, what you're doing is not in vain. And to me, I think there's no greater sense of, you know, catapulting DeFi forward than supporting the utility of serving people who are literally dying. And I'm going to tell you, I can't think of another utility, whether it's internet access or breeding my online critters or whatever it may be, that is more fundamentally important and could change the very nature of not only people's lives, but a system, a new financial system. And John, I know you see that. What is the implications of that for this group in the Philippines? Because it's not, you know, just limited to them. What does it do for them? If Pastor Roy is getting $1 a week, what does it look like when a 10,000x comes?
Yeah. So this, I mean, as I was sharing, as soon as you stepped out, like it's like this won't just change. This won't just be absolutely transformative for individuals, or even just their families, or even, I mean, this goes beyond communities. This goes beyond. And the thing is, just to add to a point that you made earlier on about how these aren't just handouts in the sense that, you know, they're just given out randomly without any thought whatsoever, right? I mean, when it comes to these tokens, when it comes to the help that's given with these donations, I mean, you know, there's thought that's put into it. So like with the allocations, for example, I mean, a lot of people, as strange as this is, they can think this is too good to be true. Right, and they just they just don't have the faith for it as well. And so you know those who do have the faith for it, I mean, the potential for David Lee was talking about a force multiplier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And in our stream earlier on, I mean, the potential for force multiplication is just, out of this world.
Yep.
And especially how Filipinos are so like community centered, right? And how I mean, there's a real viral factor to Filipinos as well. And so the thought of this overflowing, right, from the church to the communities, and then the world also being drawn to the
Yep.
churches, right? So this being a way for the church to be the one to be sharing the abundance you know instead
Well,
of
and
taking.
that's yeah, and that's the infrastructure too, and that's the thing I want people to see. I see this because I've worked in the nonprofit space with, NGOs. I've worked with ministries that are global. The infrastructure of the church is the largest single organization on the planet Earth. You go to any remote part of anywhere, and you don't find a post office, you don't find a grocery store, but you find a church. And Pastor Roy, working with thousands of pastors, this is the infrastructure, right? It's one thing to have a bunch of money and just hand it out on the street. It's another thing to have a mechanism by which faithful men and women are serving
Yes,
those in need.
exactly.
This is not, you know, this is not something that doesn't have the infrastructure. And to me, one of the greatest things about the church, and I want those who believe to understand this, when resources are provided into churches, what happens is their influence grows. So imagine a scenario in which resources are coming into churches. We give them these 22-year staked endowments of Ophir crypto. And what happens is it becomes a center of resourcing. And when there is a center of resourcing, it attracts people. And what happens in those scenarios is that the influence of the church is increased. And what is the influence of the church but the opportunity to share the gospel? Because the real freedom is not in money. The real freedom isn't in resourcing. The real true freedom is in the truth. And that is manifest through faithful people. And so to me, there's so many implications of serving a group like Gem Effect, not only encouraging Pastor Roy and all of the other pastors, but being able to activate the largest single network in the world that has the infrastructure to actually understand what the needs of people on the ground are. That's the problem, is that it's one thing to have a bunch of money and throw it at a problem. It's another thing to have the people who are vetting those that receive the resources on the other end. And that's what Pastor Roy is doing on the ground with other pastors. And to me, if we don't speak these things into existence, and Doc Vince, I'd love your thoughts on this. When you look at these remote areas where you've gone and done medical missions, this kind of you have seen the human spirit probably at its greatest depths. You've seen people that are struggling and dying and dealing with the conditions that are there. It seems like to me, if you were to invest in Apple stock versus something so catalytic as decentralized finance, it could be something that is inspirational well beyond the Philippines. Do you see that, Doc? I know you've talked about that many times.
Just give. Let me share this. The medical situation in the Philippines. Here in the States, when we go to hospitals, we have an insurance. They won't ask you anything about do you have any money or what. They would treat you right away. And then after that, that's the time they would ask for insurance or what. But all the services are being done, regardless of whether it's an emergency or not. As long as you go to a hospital, they will see you. Going there in the Philippines, before you get treated, they would ask for a down payment,
Yes.
even if somebody's having a ruptured appendicitis. And we have people during my time when I was still in clerkship, wherein it's a simple appendicitis and it would progress to a ruptured appendicitis because you have a lot of people lining up waiting for them to be cared on a government hospital, because if they go to a private hospital, they need a down payment of somewhere around 15,000, 20,000. That's somewhere, let me see, $400 just to get treated. Now, if we have this mechanism, a system wherein for church members, I'm talking about the medical aspect, wherein there's enough funds to help out the members. I mean, they would be treated uh, right away because we have the financial support that would, you know, help them out. And the most common problem is uh, those people on the low income group that really needs attention. And common problems become severe because they are not treated early. Like you have a simple cough and colds, but since there's not much treatment, most of the time they would say, okay, just drink a hot soup, chicken soup. They don't get treated, pediatrics. And I'm sure Pastor Roy experienced that during the pandemic, wherein some of the patients were even told, okay, you can go to the hospital because you stay there. And yep, and things pile up. Because there's no money. If they have money, they would be able to get those prime treatments. So having this kind of system, I mean, it would go a long, long way, and it would sustain the community itself. I
Wow.
mean, that's why for me, uh, John really got me on this because uh, it's easy for us, really, for medical practitioners. On this is for us as physicians to help people out if we do have, support as well. So some of the doctors are like the pastors are even, should I say, uh, cannot move forward because of the financial reasons.
Yes.
So it works both ways, not just in the physicians, not just on the community, but also in the doctors. So I mean, we have doctors during the pandemic wherein they want to treat these patients, but because of their views and advocacies, they got censored, canceled. Their businesses got canceled, and they cannot even practice medicine because of that.
Mhm.
They are not allowed to practice on these hospitals because of their advocacy.
Hmm. Wow. Well, let's I mean, it's such a situation that I also want to emphasize. I want to get into Ophir in the donation phase and talk about the actual endowment token itself for those who haven't heard about it. But I want to cover one topic before we're done. And Pastor Roy, I wanted to ask you this. You see people that are literally on the ground doing the work. And one of the things that I've seen from the Western kind of methodology or ideology is Western people think they know the answer. They think that, because they've got the money, that they know what's going on and how to fix things. And so many times we see people in the West just throwing money at things. And one of the things I want you to speak to is that these are people just like you and me. And the human spirit in and of itself desires to create value and to bring value to others. There's something about resourcing of pastors and churches that's not charity. It's actually the resources for people to build new value. And one of the things that I'd love for you to speak to is there are many entrepreneurial people with ideas and things within the Philippines that don't have the resourcing that they would create something of value on the ground. And so many people in the West think, oh, we'll just come in and we'll build this program and drill this well and do this thing. Folks, I think the direct aid through Gem Effect, through a program like this, empowers people because if there are resources there, the people that are on the ground will develop banking relationships. They will build businesses. They will serve one another. And to me, the greatest way to solve problems, these systemic problems, is not through some Western program. It's through actually empowering the people with the resources, and they will fix their own problems. Do you see that to be true, Pastor Roy?
Yes, I consider because it's one of the pillars of the society that really we need no for the churches, because the churches exists for the community, not for the community exists for the churches. And I saw that businesses really is the one that the source that can augment the needs of the churches. And few only business people are really has the chance, or has even the opportunity to reach these churches, or to help the churches, because the churches do not evangelize, do not share these passions and burden to the business people, and because they were hesitant, because most of the churches, once there is a business people get inside the churches, they were afraid to be in the church, because some poor people will come and ask for some help. So sometimes, yeah, some uh, business people try to go to another big churches, or youth churches, or mega churches, instead of going to the grassroots churches that would be a great help, supposedly. So that's why we have this program, and encourage always the pastors to share and witness, and even encourage the business people, because nobody sometimes attempt to share the gospel to the business people, because they were hesitant
Yep.
to do it, because of their, they consider they have the sometimes the low self-esteem, and sometimes they were afraid because they were poor. They consider themselves that they are not capable to share this and encourage these people. If these business people would only given a chance and opportunity, this would bring an impact to also to the grassroots churches, and the influence of the grassroots churches will be developed in their community.
Yeah, and I just imagine a young boy or girl that's in these communities when this happens, John, over the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years, and we see this transformation. If what we are seeing, we're seeing ahead of time, right? That what Ophir can do, that there are going to be young boys and girls that are on the ground in these churches today who see a future that is different from what those in the past have seen. That there is an opportunity for them to build a business, to do new things. And to me, there's nothing greater than DeFi as a it's not a ticket out. It's an opportunity to step up into taking personal responsibility and building something of value that you own. And there's something about dignity, human dignity. There's something about hope that is brought to people when there are folks like you who want to advocate for them and strengthen them on their own, not them relying on you or relying on money from the West, but literally, Ophir and DeFi is ultimately literally a fishing pole. It is a mechanism by which they can develop and unlock value.
And it's something that the team, that Gem Effect, that we're extremely deliberate about, right? Education is a massive part of what we're doing, and so through this onboarding process, I mean, the application that we build, like the idea is precisely what you're describing, right? That we want to upskill these pastors, these churches. DJ was just talking about new content that we want to add in about how, showing opportunities as content creators, and as because all of these like, there's more access to this stuff than there ever has been before, right? There are more opportunities to build a business, to create wealth now more than ever before. People just need to be educated, and they need to see that this is there for them to pursue. And so yeah, there's a very, very deliberate effort to provide that, to teach people to fish, as opposed to just like giving handouts,
Yep.
right? So that's very much in the DNA of what's being done.
And John, you have had the vision all this time for unlocking this value, teaching people to have the resourcing for themselves. And anyone who's been in our community that understands what Hex did, this idea of DeFi, decentralized finance that creates trustless yield. That is the Ophir crypto contract. We've developed that, come alongside John and his team to do this. But folks, this is the thing, and I'm going to be as bold as I possibly can be. This is transformational. There's basically 2 days left, the rest of today and tomorrow. And if you go to OphirCrypto.com, and at the very top of the page, there's this donate button right there. If you click on this donate button, this is not just you donating. This is the point system that enables you to get 10,000 Ophir crypto tokens. Those are the points that Gem Effect gives. The Ethereum mainnet address is here on the bottom of this page. You'll see the donation options. Read the detail there. But they're accepting USDC, USDT, Ethereum, Hex, SLP, and Texan. Folks, I believe, and John, I just really believe it's important that we ask, right? We have not because we ask not. There is someone who will watch this stream before tomorrow at midnight who has an extra $1 million of USDC. There is. I know there is. And I've seen it happen, and I see it happen across. We are not asking you for money for ourselves. We're asking that you would strengthen Gem Effect under the leadership of Pastor Roy and those pastors to literally unlock value in the Philippines, that this is the catalyst to jumpstart something incredible. Because what's happening through John and the relationships with Doc Vince and TJ is that there are so many other churches and pastors and other business leaders in the Philippines watching Ophir Crypto. We can come together as a community and we can unlock the value in the Philippines, but it takes people with leadership and understanding. And to me, I will remind you, if you're someone who believes that ultimately we store up our treasures in heaven. I looked at my dad in the casket with David Lee, and I realized you can't take anything with you. And so the opportunity for you to truly have a tremendous impact literally ends tomorrow at midnight. And to me, I'm asking you, if you're someone who has the means, that this would be one of the most significant gifts you could possibly give to any organization in the world, because of what it does to not only encourage the people that are on the ground and serve them directly with resourcing, but to encourage John and to encourage Doc Vince and TJ and all those people that are a part of the team to see a future that literally is abundant. And to me, I'm believing that for you, John, and for the team, because to me, we should literally turn ourselves inside out to advocate for people. Because here's the thing, it not only encourages you and Pastor Roy and the people that are on the ground, it encourages people across the world that they could tokenize their own community and they could unlock value in their own community across the world. We have to lead. And we lead by asking. And so I'm asking you, if you're someone, whatever it may be, you don't have to be the $1 million USDC, but I'm believing that in the way that I've seen the miraculous, and I feel like we have to step out and we have to ask for it. This isn't just a tip. We're not asking for tip money. We're asking for people to invest in an entire people group through an infrastructure that has existed for 2,000 years to be able to encourage, because you do not realize the ramifications and literally the impact that it can have, that literally could potentially change the world. But it has to start somewhere. And if there's not bold people like John and Doc Vince and TJ and Pastor Roy who are out there getting their hands and feet dirty, I feel like this is it. But when we give, I'm literally putting a finger in the eye of the globalist to say, no, we are not using your money. We are using our money. And that is a representation of our own personal labor. And so, John, ever since I ever met you, I knew God was doing something special with you. And I've seen miracle after miracle over the last years. This is it. This is that we're down to the wire. And God has never, ever been early. He's always been just on time. And so I'm just asking you, this is it, folks. Get on board and help encourage the people within the Philippines.
Amen. And I'd just like to add to that. I mean, yes, these donations are going to go, such a long way. It's really, um, I'm besides myself when I think of just the kind of impact that can be made. But at the same time, it's ironic. Like when I have been to visit these churches, and just how grateful they've been, right, for the little that we've been able to give so far relative to what I believe is coming. It's like, I mean, just the joy in their faces, and the gratitude, and they're like, so blessed. But like, it's honestly, I feel like it's incomparable to the joy that I've had being able um to to witness that and to be a part of what's happening. And honestly, that's like, I mean, just what an amazing. I mean, for anyone who this resonates with, I mean, the joy of being able to take part in something like this and making such a tremendous impact and changing lives, and really furthering the kingdom this way. I mean, I would highly encourage you to take that step if you feel the Lord is prompting you in that way. But this is we're in this for the long haul. We're just getting started in many ways, and I was just thinking about this earlier on. Whether or not there was an Ophir, this is what I would be doing, and this is what most folks, on the team would be doing, and that's what's so special about this, right? And so, the Lord is moving, and as you keep saying over and over again, Matt, Jesus has gone before us, and it's overwhelming, thinking of what's to come. And I hope that more people will be able to share in the joy that that comes with it's kind of, there's a quote that comes to mind. C.S. Lewis said that if you aim for um, heaven, you get the world thrown in, but if you aim for the world, you get neither.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I pray
thank you for
more
your
people able to experience this joy.
thank you for your genuine heart for others, right? It's very rare. Most people are out just for themselves. And I've seen that in you in the last year. We are the hands and feet of Jesus, right? He decided that he would create it this way so that he would partner with us, right? And so people see the grace, they see the love, they see the manifestation of who Jesus is through us. And so as we literally seek to serve, we just pray that those that are impacted would see that truth. And so, there's so much wrapped up in all of this to me. And to me, this is worth sacrificing your entire life and effort for, is to in service of other people. But I've never been, I always dreamed of an opportunity where things would change and be so disruptive that literally, as if people were broken out of jail, literally chains were broken, bars of iron were cut through, and that we literally could walk out. But it says in Revelation that the kings of earth will bring their splendor into the kingdom. Who are those kings of earth, if not those who are serving and loving one another? Not the leaders of political parties, but people like Pastor Roy, who are serving those who are in need. And to me, to think that we can come alongside across the world with crypto and unlock that. But also, here's the thing, though, you are literally seeding the future of a cryptocurrency that has trustless yield, has all the foundational tools as an endowment for people that can be used by anyone. They don't have to be in the Philippines, that they can literally tap into this gold that's in the hearts of men and women worldwide. And that, to me, is why this is such a force multiplier, as as David Lee says, is that it is exponential in its technological capabilities, but it's exponential in its impact as well. And if we don't declare it for what it is, we do a disservice to it. And so I just want you to know, I'm doing everything I can to turn myself inside out to make the case to you that this is different than jumping into Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
It is.
Pepe.
Pepe. Yeah, this is not a meme coin. This
Kind
has
of
the
Pepe coin.
utility. And Pastor Roy is here to show that. I would love, Pastor Roy, for you to share with folks your encouragement to them, those that are considering being a part of this journey with us.
Yes, I remember the word of the Lord Jesus Christ when he said that when he was hungry, he was fed, and when he was thirsty, he was given a glass of water, and when he was in prison, he was visited. So the disciples asked Jesus, "When did we visit you in prison? When we give you water, a glass of water? When we give you food?" Jesus said, "Whatever you do to the least of your brothers, you did it to me." And
Mm.
I believe we encourage every folks, every brothers, brethren who are there to really do something and take the opportunity. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 10, take the opportunity to help others, especially those who are in the household of faith.
Mm.
And these things that we are doing, we should not become weary, but we should continue to do good, for in due time we will reap a harvest.
Amen. A
Amen.
harvest. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Amen.
I love
Amen.
it. And let me ask you one other question, Pastor Roy. You know, I'm enamored with this idea of the good gold that comes from Ophir. And as I've looked into, Solomon, sourcing gold from Ophir and then looking into the history of the Philippines, there's a really strong case that the Philippines is the land of Ophir. That in and of itself, right? Not just an idea, but the physical location that God enabled to build the temple, right? And if you think about it, we are a temple of the Holy Spirit, right? He's building his man with the gold of Ophir. And what is it that we see? It's not the physical gold, it's the actual gold in the hearts of people who are thoughtful and considerate of others. Do you think about that? Is that powerful to you? What are your thoughts on the gold of Ophir as it relates to the Philippines?
Yes, I do believe that it's we can really excavate the value inside of our heart, inside
Oh,
the heart of every pastors. There is a gold coming out there that it will be a big blessings, especially to the most in need community and most need people, and even the churches that we are serving to.
wow. In Haggai 2, it says, "All the silver and gold is mine, declares the Lord." And many of us who look at gold as a metaphor know that, and that the Lord is saying it is all mine. And to think that He would be giving it to us as a metaphor, but also as a physical unlocking of value, folks, this is where the power needs to be, is literally in the hearts of individuals. And we have the opportunity to create a new financial system. And in my opinion, John, you are the agent of change for that to happen. You are the leader who is advocating for others. And to me, this is what makes crypto ultimately congruent. It literally makes it whole. When people say one Lambo and all that stuff, I'm like, no, 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 you're missing it. To think about what this does to the human heart and its encouragement and hope, it literally is, I think, a catalyst for the kingdom coming.
No, 100%.
So, folks, this has been awesome to have you guys on. Doc Vince, thanks for being here. It is so great to have you on the team. Folks, we can't say any detail, but there are things that are happening in the background through Doc Vince and through John and through the Philippines and Pastor Roy that are so amazing that I can't even articulate how big they are. And this is in addition to Ophir. And so just I would encourage you to do what John said. Ask the Lord yourself. If it's placed on your heart to support. If it's not, don't. This is not something. He has it all and he has enough. We don't need to convince anyone. God will do that himself. And so I look forward to celebrating with you three, of what the Lord is doing. But we trust him no matter our circumstances, in plenty or in want. But Pastor Roy, I just bless you, and will continue to pray for your ministry and those that you serve. Thank you that you've accepted the call to serve. And thank you to your wife as well, who's helping you out, Pastor Roy. You are a
Yeah.
blessing to so many.
Yeah.
Amen.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. John, do you mind sharing in a native tongue a blessing before we head out?
Sure. Um, Panginoon, nagpapasalamat lang talaga po tayo sa ginagawa ninyo ngayon. Alam po namin na ang kakayanan mo ay higit pa sa kahit ano nang maisip namin, at nakikita namin yan ngayon dito sa mga nangyayari sa harapan namin. So, maraming salamat po, at ah, ipinipray po namin na lubos pa dito ang may experience po ng mga churches na ito, na ibigay mo po ang lahat ng kailangan nila para po maiangat ang iyong pangalan, para po um, ah, ikaw ay mabigyan ng all of the glory. And so maraming salamat, at um, ibinibigay namin sa iyo lahat ng papuri. Amen.
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 Matt, can I say something before we
Please,
go?
please.
In behalf of all the Filipino people, maraming salamat. Anya manok unay. Daghang salamat sa imuha. Damo gid nga salamat. I'm talking in 4 different language dialects in the Philippines, representing in each regions in the Philippines. Again, it simply means thank you so much. And to those who are viewers, or those who are viewing right now, thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you
it.
bet. Thanks, Doc Vince. Pastor Roy, thank you so much for your time this evening. John, once again, God sees you at the corner of his eye. Folks, take care. Make sure you go to OphirCrypto.com, click on that donate button, and support and encourage Pastor Roy and his work at Gem Effect. But also, get some Ophir Crypto, and let's join in this community together as we unlock value that is the gold in the hearts of men and women across the Philippines. Thank you all for coming on, and I'll catch you guys in the green room. Thank you all.
Thanks, brother.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. God bless.
Thank you. God
GG.
bless.
John, dude, what a journey we've been on.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Really. My gosh, man. Sorry. It's just like,
well, you know what's
insane.
so cool though, John? We've been told, I think about those who are given, the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, right? There were those that were invested wisely. And you see in that parable that those that multiplied what they were given, John, were given more. And you are someone who is being faithful to what you have been given, and more will be given to you. And I think that that's in not only influence, but also in advocacy, in resourcing, and all of that. And I think about, we all want to make our fathers proud, right? We all want to serve. We all want to be of service and to have value and purpose. And I just want to encourage you, what you are doing, your faithfulness. And I just, I pray for your stamina, for your endurance in this time, but never, ever, ever forget that there are so many people behind you, supporting you. And we know and we'll celebrate with you all of the unique opportunities that are going to be presented to you, because like Paul, you are going to Rome, my friend. And so thank you so much for your friendship and for what you're doing, because this journey is just beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, brother. I mean, just how grateful I am, and how, I mean, like I said, the very first stream that we had, it was like God just reached in and like, dropped you in front of me when at the very perfect time, right? Reached into my
Yeah.
life and just like, so yeah, thank you so much. And to the rest of the Texan team, and yeah, I'm just yeah, I'm just to the moon with what the Lord is doing.
Yep.
And like you said, I know that it is just the beginning, right?
Yep. Thank you, John. We'll see you in the green room. Folks, a tree is known by its fruit. And what does that mean? You know, everything that's made in its kind has fruit that is generated from it. And of course, it says that the fruit of the Spirit is love, it's joy, it's peace, it's patience, it's gentleness, it's kindness, it's goodness, it's self control. And so, if you ever want to identify value, you have to see, is it producing fruit? And there are many people, we examine our own lives and we say, am I producing fruit in my life, in my relationships, with my resourcing, and all of these things? But to understand that we are stewards of what we are given, the greatest joy is actually not resources. The greatest joy is peace in any and every situation. And so many people, whether they're going for the top of their career or the top of their athletic capabilities or whatever it may be, in that journey, they're seeking for the one thing that is only provided by God, and that is peace that transcends all understanding. And when you've gotten a taste of that peace that comes from loving and serving others and producing fruit in your life, it is addictive. And it's a holy addiction, not like trying to cover up your pain with, you know, drugs and alcohol or, you know, literally self-medicating. But there is actual power and there's true value. And to think that we can come together and work together to unlock these things, to me, is actually the way it's supposed to be. And so there's not projects that come along very many times that have this capability at a time when DeFi can literally change the entire financial system. And so to me, I'm doing everything I can to convince you and to make a case to you that this project does so much more than number go up. It is hope. It is distilled, it's consolidated, it is syrupy, sweet hope that we give as a gift to others. And in order for us to unlock generosity in this world, we have to give. And to find people like John who are wired, and everything in his life has been coordinated to serve and to advocate for those that are in need. That's what I see in Ophir. It's what I see in John. It's what I see in Pastor Roy, that they've dedicated their lives to considering others in addition to themselves. That is what I want to be a part of. And so I ask you, if you feel so led, join us. This is just the beginning. And the best time to be in things is the beginning. Just ask Brandon from rags to riches. But folks, there's a journey that is a narrative, that is a story that God is weaving in the hearts of people. And I want to tell you this, we want to see an abundant harvest of fruit that is produced. And to me, breathing life into people is as easy as supporting GemEffect. And there's benefits to you. That's what I love about crypto. The incentive is built in. But let's help teach people to fish. Let's not just give them a handout. Let's tackle some of the greatest global giants that exist. So we will pick up our 5 smooth stones in our sling and we will take down this giant. And this giant is scarcity. It's poverty. It is globalism. It is centralization. And we will strike down this giant together. Thank you for joining the Pulse today. My name is Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat. And folks, we got one day left. OphirCrypto.com. Please be a part of this journey with us, whatever the level. It's not how much you give, it's that you give, because we want to do it together. It's the best I can do, folks. Take care of yourself and don't mess with Manila. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.